Good morning, guys. It's Maria Guild, and I just wanted to pop on here really quick because I wanted to share with you guys the amazing testimony of how God took us from one of the darkest places in our lives and brought us into a new place, a new home, set our feet on a rock, and gave us joy for sorrow, beauty for ashes, and this is the story of us finding our new home, and it was a complete miracle. So I'm gonna get right into it. I did make another video not long ago where I explained a little bit of a really traumatic situation we had been through. So we actually had a home invasion. We had somebody come into our home, a man, and it was very serious. It was a life or death situation. And I'm actually gonna probably make a whole nother video just about that because God was with us through that extremely difficult situation, and he showed up and he showed out, and without a shadow of a doubt, even though we walked through fire and we went through hell, God was with us and he was taking care of us. Anyways, so I'll probably make another video about that because there were a lot of little steps and a lot of little moments of just angels being with us and protecting us and speaking to us. But, okay, so here's the rest of the story, or the story I want to share now. And that is of how we found our new home. So basically, after that situation, because it was such an invasion of our own space, it was just within our own home. We struggled a lot in the aftermath, myself and my children who were home, just kind of feeling comfortable and feeling safe in that home again. And we really were feeling that it was time for us to sort of move on and go ahead and leave that home behind. We had actually already been talking about doing that, and we were looking into just something bigger and better. It was a very old home, and this kind of was the final catalyst, the last straw, and we were like, well, we don't really want to stick around in this neighborhood anymore. So, but there were a ton of hurdles before we were able to get this. So the first hurdle we had was with a loan. And we are both self-employed, and anybody who's self-employed knows that it's quite hard to get a traditional loan when you're self-employed. So we went through all the process and all the paperwork, and we applied for a loan. And unfortunately, we were given just a super small loan amount. And if anybody knows the market right now, it is crazy. It is super high. And we were living in Southern California at the time, and even the money we would make from selling the house would still not help us to find just even any kind of decent house within the price range of the loan amount that we got. Now, I was just like so desperate because I was like, Jesus, we need to get out of this home. We have to get out of here. And they were talking about probably not even letting him do a sentence, like a long-term sentence. And we were afraid that they were going to let him out soon and he was going to be free to roam the neighborhood. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. But so I just got so desperate with God, and I was like, I would not take no for an answer. And I just prayed that we could somehow find somebody to give us a good enough loan so we could get into another house. We even considered renting, all kinds of things, and nothing was working out. Like, the rental market was crazy expensive, and every home that went on the market had tons of applications. The management companies were so difficult to get a hold of and work with. So I was just praying and believing for a miracle, and I had a little picture of a house on my dream and vision board, and we were coming to the end of it, and we were desperate, and we were like, God is gonna have to do a miracle for us. So one day I was just looking through the internet or something, and God just guided me to a lender who lends to self-employed people, which I didn't even know that existed. Like, I didn't know that there were special loans for self-employed people, because generally with a traditional loan, they'll look at your tax return and all that kind of stuff. And typically when you're self-employed and you run your own business, you're able to deduct a lot of stuff in your taxes. So, when you take the maximum deduction, often the loan amount that you would be able to get would be quite small. So by a miracle, a complete miracle, I was scrolling through the internet and I found out that there's loan programs for self-employed people where they only check your income, and they base the loan off of your credit and your income. So they don't look, actually, I don't even think they look at credit. They just base the loan off their income. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not recommending this to people, and it's, there was some hoops to jump through, and, you get a higher percentage interest for this type of loan. But here's the deal. We were able to qualify through this loan for a house that, was, just on the market. Like generally houses are in the, 350, 400 range. And we were finally able to get qualified for that. So that was just a complete miracle. That was God, because we were really discouraged and we were like, well, we can't even afford to move. Like we needed to move. We had that horrible incident happen to us. My kids were in trauma and we had to move. We were desperate. So God brought that loan to us and we were able to start looking for houses in a reasonable budget. So we were looking around in Southern California, but even then, even with our higher loan amount in the area we were living, it was just nothing was suitable. I mean, we were having to go out, we were having to go into junky areas, and still the houses were so expensive right now at the time. So then, we started hearing about some other, states and other options. And at one point, we had heard about the state we're in now, a town that was really great and family friendly, and they had a lot of new houses and stuff. So we decided one weekend to go visit that town. And we weren't really going to look at houses. We just wanted to look at the town and just see if it was, if we would even consider moving. My husband works. I have a business that I was running out of in Southern California. So it's a really big step. It was a really big move. Apparently, when we got here, my husband was like, well, just get in touch with a realtor and maybe we can see a couple houses or just look around town, whatever, So I did get a hold of a realtor, and he did prepare a couple houses for us to look at, but we were not, I'm so sorry, I have allergies. We were not super sure that we actually wanted to look at houses, and he wasn't sure, but he prepared some. Anyways, so we ended up looking at quite a few houses and just driving around the town, and everything was nice. And, obviously so much more affordable than where we had come from. And we saw a couple nice houses, and then we saw, some very old, not very old, but more run down, needed a lot of work, a lot of fixer-upper houses that were pretty cheap. And, my husband was all excited about that. And I was okay. Like the house we had initially come from was an old home and it needed tons of work, and that was kind of like one of my full-time jobs, was just fixing up this old home. So I was like, well, I've done it. I know how to take nothing and old and try and make it better and try and make it nice. I didn't really want to. My heart of hearts was I just wanted a move-in ready home that was nice and fresh and clean, and I didn't have to repair anything, but I was open. Anyways, so at the end of the day, this is the exciting part. The end of the day, we had seen a bunch of houses. My husband was tired. We were all kind of tired. The realtor was tired. And we had all sat together at a table just to discuss, if we liked anything that we saw and what our feelings were towards the town and all that kind of stuff. So I had to go into my email to pull up our pre-approval letter. And so when I opened my email, I was on an automated MLS system where every time a new house hit the market, I would get an email for it. So I had to go into my email, and I saw this new email, and I remember thinking in my head, I'm not going to bring it up. Like, I don't want to bother my husband and the realtor. Like, we just drived all over town and saw a bunch of houses. But I started looking through this house, and I was like, as I was looking through it more, I was like, oh my God, like this is a really nice house. And it was still within our loan budget. Now, it was at the tippy top of our budget, but it was still within it. So after looking through the pictures, I was like, oh my gosh. So I showed my husband and the realtor, and I'm like, hey, is this house close by? Like, can we look at it real quick? I was like, I wasn't sure if they'd say yes. So he's like, oh yeah, it's just around the corner, let's go. And it was a new house. It was a brand new house. So we got in the car, And we pulled up to the house and we got in, and my husband has this really funny thing about smells, you know, like I don't know, he smells everything. Like he can smell if something's moldy or something smells good. Or so we walked in and it was that new home smell, just like hits you. And my husband, we had seen all these old houses, you know, the last couple houses we had seen were all these old fixer-uppers with mold issues. So we walk into this brand new house and oh my God, like we were just hit with like new house smell, and it's gorgeous and it's brand new and it's beautiful, perfectly done. And we're just like, what? Oh my God. So both of us are just like getting so excited, like we would totally move, you know, and get into this house. So anyways, we go outside and there's a bunch of neighbors standing around and they're like, oh, you guys just missed the open house. Too bad for you. So it was the weekend and they had done an open house. And I was thinking, my heart kind of sunk a little bit and I was like, oh man, because the market right now, literally within the first couple hours that the house goes on the market, there's multiple offers and then there's often a bidding war. And we were at the top of our budget and we could not afford to be outbid. We couldn't afford to bid higher. So, you know, I was just like, I gave it to God. I was like, you know what? If that's the house for us, like God's gonna have to work it out. We loved it. It was beautiful. So that night we actually put 2 offers in. We put an offer into the brand new house and another house that we had seen that we liked. And, you know, it was a little bit older, but it was fine. It would have worked out great. Anyways, so we waited that whole weekend. I believe when he wrote up the contract, they had 72 hours, I think, like 3 days to respond to us. So on Monday, by Monday morning, the first house we had put the offer in, the older house, had multiple offers on it and they were already going into escrow. So they kind of said, no, you know, we're not going to take a backup. The brand new house that we loved hadn't had a single offer on it yet. So we were still the only offer. And by law, like he had to give us a response. He couldn't wait any longer. So it was crazy because our realtor and his the guy selling the home, he actually built the home and nobody had ever lived in it. I think from the story I heard, I don't know if this is true, but he had built it and his girlfriend was gonna move in or something like that, but then they ended up breaking up before the house was finished building. So he had this brand new house that he built and nobody had ever lived in it and he just wanted to sell it. Like he wasn't interested in holding on to it. Anyways, so our realtor and his realtor was like, this is unheard of. Like, you know, we had an open house. It's a brand new house, it's a beautiful house, and no other offers have come in. So by default, you know, we accept your offer. So we didn't have to get into any kind of bidding war. You know, we named our price and, you know, he accepted the offer. And that was just a complete miracle. And then everybody we told that story to was like, oh my God, like that, you know, that was your house. It was meant to be. You know, God saved this house for us. And it was beyond my wildest dream. Like I never thought that, you know, we would be able to get into a brand new house. And here's the other super cool part. So I told you about that terrible, horrible event that we went through, which was in 2020. Y'all know the year of 2020, right? It was COVID. We were all in lockdown. It was a hard year. Like it was such a hard year for us. My son was supposed to graduate. He missed his graduation. Like so many things happened. But then on top of that, we had that horrible home invasion. So people were like, wow, we thought 2020 was a bad year. 2020 was a way worse year for you guys. But here's the cool part. The home is a 2020 build. So I just thought that was super neat because, you know, 2020 was by far one of the worst years of our lives, but then at the same time, one of the best years of our lives too, because we were able to move into a beautiful home, just a gorgeous brand new home, like totally taken care of. I think, like, honestly, to me, I feel like it was a special gift of God because I know God has seen how hard I tried to work on that old home back in Southern California and the battles I faced with that and the heartache and just everything we went through. Like, I don't know, I wanted to share this with you guys, not to brag or anything, but to brag on Jesus and to tell you guys that if you're going through something really hard, don't give up, because God sees it and he knows. Like, I feel like he saw where we were. He saw our pain. He saw what we were going through, and he was like, I am not going to leave you there. I'm not going to leave you comfortless. I'm going to come to you and I'm going to take care of you. And that is exactly what he did, guys. He took such good care of us, and I am just so grateful and I am so thankful to God. So don't give up, guys. Keep holding on, keep on believing, and keep fighting for your dreams. And even if things look hard and look difficult, don't give up, because your blessing might be just around the corner. And I just wanted to share that. And I'll maybe try and post some pictures in here. But yeah, we're so excited, and God is so good, and we just feel so grateful that he did all the miracles that he did leading up to finding this special home. All right, that was it. Have a great day. Bye.